My name is Crystal Beshara and I paint rural life. I've been painting and drawing for as long as I can remember. My family has a long line of artists and craftspeople dating back to generations on both sides. I just always knew I would be an artist. For career day in kindergarten, we all made paper crowns and illustrated them with our desired vocation, and I drew myself sitting at an easel, and I had my teacher write the word artist. Granted, I was equally passionate about horses too, so I drew countless unicorns and Pegasus and dappled grays and palominos. And here we are today. I still love painting and being around horses. Watercolor was my first love. I appreciate its delicate, free-thinking nature, and I love the magic and spirit of this medium and the dialogue that's sort of required between me and the paint. Oil, for me, demands a more physical and visceral response, and I found a lot more freedom in the expression of it. And in fact, being able to toggle between the two mediums, I've learned a lot about myself as an artist. I would say I began more as a photorealist artist, and I just loved filling up every square inch of my surface with detail and texture, and the focal point was fairly evenly distributed. I took pleasure in rendering, and it was a great compliment to me to have someone tell me that they thought my painting looked like a photograph. While my narrative has remained the same, my work has evolved to become a lot more expressive in nature. I'm always attempting to strike a balance between drawing viewers in through their eyes, but holding them there with my subject through their heart, and connecting with them experientially and emotionally. I have a keen interest in illustration, and I'd say some of my biggest influential artists are in fact illustrators. Whenever possible, I try to distill my paintings to best tell the story and whittle down to the essence of what I'm trying to say via composition, cropping, or action. Rural narrative has always been an important element in my artwork, and I've always been drawn to representations of rural life and agricultural conservation. I love traveling, exploring country roads, taking photos, and getting to know my subjects. I think I just love looking as much as I love painting, and I love observing how the same scene can look so fresh and new in just a slightly different light or a different season. I love watching the structure of an animal as they change their body weight and shift, how their fur opens up or changes color with movement. Close and slow observation leads to appreciation, which leads to compassion and empathy, and ultimately, I fall in love with my subjects. As I paint, every stroke, every blade of grass brings me closer to nature. Every barn brings me closer to my own ancestry. Every landscape brings me closer to the land. Each new piece of art brings me closer to my purpose. I think the intrinsic nature of being an artist compels many towards a life of conservation and philanthropy, be it animal welfare or donating and volunteering your time in your community. For me, I'm heavily influenced by my rural upbringing, growing up on a small hobby farm, and the love for this subject matter is a direct result of my desire for preserving that way of life. I recently moved back to the area where I grew up after 20 years in the city, and I'm struck by the number of barns that as a youth I admired but are now in various states of disrepair and dilapidation. Many are simply gone forever. Sometimes I get weepy just thinking about the hardships of these families and the livestock that must have experienced the harshness of our elements and surviving our long, cold winters. By painting animals, barns, and the many faces of farming, I hope to keep their stories alive, and by documenting and preserving their history through my art, I hope to ultimately preserve in some way a piece of our heritage. I think being an artist is not something one just does. I believe it's truly who you are. It's a lens you have on life. It's how you move through your life. It's how you see, yes, but it's also how you feel. And for me, it's impossible to separate myself from it. Making art is a way of connecting to others. And for me, that's what life is all about.